What is the benefit of a book of condensing Sahih Bukhari? I always had an intention to explore different parts of the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I wanted to kind of bring people's attention to a book called Mukhtasar Sahih Bukhari, which we can briefly translate as the condensed version of Sahih Bukhari. And this is actually a really important book for people to be aware of in terms of the condensed version. There's loads of different types. Many different authors have authored in terms of a condensed version of Sahih Bukhari. This is probably the most famous one by Zubaydi or Az-Zabidi. Scholars have differed in terms of what his name is. Probably more likely to be Zabidi from Zabid. Anyhow, what is the benefit of a book of condensing Sahih Bukhari? I want the whole of Sahih Bukhari. Why do I want a condensed version? Well, what the author has done is he essentially takes away all the different asanid, all the different chains of narration in terms of Sahih Bukhari. And also Sahih Bukhari has many different repetitions. So what the author has done in terms of if there's ever a repetition, then he'll take away all the different repetitions. So actually a book like this is quite beneficial. And also in Sahih Bukhari, you also have a lot of things that aren't necessarily a hadith, like you might have statements of the tabi'een and chains that aren't necessarily connected. So if you're talking about every single hadith in Sahih Bukhari with a connected chain, then in theory, at least this Mukhtasar would have all of that. And that's quite beneficial if somebody actually just wants to go through purely the narrations in terms of Sahih al-Bukhari. I have always had an intention to briefly go through some ahadith in Sahih al-Bukhari and for to kind of explore different parts of the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm not actually going to be using this Mukhtasar. I'm actually going to be using a contemporary scholar called Sheikh Sa'd al-Shitri's Mukhtasar Sahih Bukhari, just because there's a couple of things that he did in his which were a bit nice. For example, one of the issues with this Mukhtasar, or one of the limitations you could say, is that sometimes he'll just mention the first time the narration is mentioned, and sometimes some other times the hadith is mentioned, there might be some additions. Just to kind of give you a bit of an example, what I mean by repetition. So for example, innamal a'malu binniyat is repeated 7 times. Sometimes innamal a'malu binniyah, or there might be some additions, not in this necessarily this hadith, but in other hadiths there might be additions, and sometimes that can be missed, and some additions are important. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed and benefited in terms of a quick overview of Mukhtasar Sahih Bukhari. Jazakumullah khairan.